as somebody who hasn't played Call of Duty in a very long time, I'm gonna have a very fresh take on the way that I see Black Ops 6, and I'm hoping it's gonna be like its predecessors, like the first Black Ops, Black Ops 2. We're not talking about Black Ops 3 here. Damn, that knife looked amazing at the start. So, today, I'm gonna be reviewing the Black Ops 6 gameplay, from the beta, as well as the addition of the Black Ops 6 zombies. And so far, what I can tell, which is amazing, is the graphics never fail to disappoint me. I mean, the way that they're using the lighting around this time just looks so much better compared to the other COD games. But I feel like video games at some point have just reached this standard where graphics have never always been a problem. I mean, I guess one really good thing that I can also say about just this initial gameplay, and by the way, this isn't my gameplay, I'll leave credit to the gameplay in the description, but I really like their emphasis on keeping the game very fast-paced, because one of the problems with some of the older COD games was the pace was slower, and people are going to argue that, you know, Omni movement is something that a lot of tryhards and sweats are going to use, and if you don't know what Omni movement is, it's sort of like when you can dive and when you can leap side to side or do crazy maneuvers. I agree with the tryhard aspect, and honestly, I think this can be fixed with skill-based matchmaking, but I don't think Activision or Treyarch are ever going to try and fix that problem. Anyway, I'm going to be reviewing this gameplay and giving my overall thoughts. So I have read a couple articles about this game, and one thing that I really do find which is quite goofy and quite fun is the introduction of the body shield mechanic, which is really cool because in the past COD games, there haven't really been much innovation towards the way that you're able to utilize other players, and I think even if it is toxic, I just think the idea of using someone else as a way to gain more kills, or putting some sort of risk to one of your own teammates, makes the game more interesting. One thing I'm also noting is, during this gameplay, they're using the Skyline map, which is kind of like, I'm guessing it's kind of like the main map of Black Ops 6. It's going to be like the main kind of map that's super iconic, and I kind of like it because it reminds me of the map cruise ship. And look at that death animation as well. That death animation looks really different, and I know it might seem like I'm going over the top with just looking at death animations, but if you remember the previous Black Ops, you had that signature death of either falling straight flat on the ground or just doing that roll. And as sad as it may sound, I've really just enjoyed the fact that they're actually tapping into making the death animations more fluid. So for example, if you were to be taken out by something like an explosive, you would flop or you would just fall in a different direction. What I am liking is a lot of the scorecards, or like the badges that you earn, they seem really fluid. But one thing that I'm having an issue with Black Ops 6 is I don't think the game really knows how to differentiate itself between what makes it a Black Ops game and what makes it, per se, like a Cold War. And that's not necessarily because of the way how fast the game is. Maybe if it's fast-paced too much, but I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I just think ever since Fortnite came out, a lot of Call of Duties, just mainly Call of Duty, has just turned into something where it's become a lot more cartoony, or the saturation has been pulled up on a lot of its games. There's been battle passes, skins, just more emotes, which I like the addition of emotes. I think emotes are very cool, and I know that they're going to be in this game, but I just like the aspect that Black Ops can be serious because the name is Black Ops. I think they can strike a perfect balance between keeping the game sort of serious by adding like the central things that are in Black Ops games, but then also just making it so you can add a little bit of emotes and just having fun. I just think some people take the game too seriously and expect that the game is just supposed to be this super serious, super cool thing. But sometimes, like, some people will complain about that because, you know, it's the whole factor of immersion. Like, for example, if I'm playing Spider-Man 2, I expect to be feeling like Spider-Man. Kind of like goes back to that old meme in the Arkham review from IGN when they said that you've got to feel like you're Batman. Also, you see here, look, someone jumps like that. They do one of the movements. I think the new movements of jumping forward and strafing to the side is really cool because I feel like it's innovating the gameplay, but I think in some aspects that should only be limited towards ranked, because even if it is within casual parameters, I just don't think that it's good because it's going to be allowing people to hit more impressive shots, more things you add, and especially the speed, you're going to make the game harder. But one thing I will say about these games is, damn, the music always goes so hard. I like this idea that the game's also very fast-paced because of the coordination, but it's nuanced because I really like fast-paced games, but it's also scary because of, you know, sweats. But I think SBMM is just going to be a lot more easier to fix if they add longer wait queue times and just making the game more optimized. I feel like Activision could fix that, but they probably wouldn't. I've always thought that the Black Ops series was supposed to have more of a darker tone, and I've always liked this idea of keeping the game very distinct from its competitors in the gaming industry. I also don't like the fact that the Battle Royale has sort of influenced the way that the main multiplayer is. And that's mainly through the fact that Melee now, a separate button for the Melee. And I just really enjoyed it when you could just click one button and all of a sudden it was a Melee. Also, another thing that's particularly jarring, but it's not necessarily the end of the world, is of how like fast the animations are. I just feel like it should be like slower animation, but more simplistic, because then it will give you kind of like that OG kind of feeling, but then it still feels fresh. Like, for example, when you feels really, like with the C9, it feels really just straight out of Warzone, or it feels something that's, and I know it's obviously a Call of Duty game, but it's supposed to be distinct between different types of games. Okay, now that was the gameplay for the multiplayer, which was pretty cool. I loved the Skyline map. This is the Zombies gameplay. I'll leave credit in the description. I love the skin on the gun, and especially love the way that the ammo looks. Okay, that was a cool melee. Like the addition that they're actually adding some sort of variety. The frame rate on this game is going to go crazy if you're running it on a high-end PC. I mean, this just looks really fun. Man, I love the idea of just the explosions. It's... Oh, and yes, you can definitely just tell, like... I know there's, like, this sort of, like, stigma around, yes, okay, we can have good graphics in video games, but I think one thing that makes games particularly beautiful, and we've seen this in a lot of games, like, real importance of making the lighting just perfect, and even just simple effects by making the bullets light up a room that's dark. I mean, look at that, look at that enemy as well, the spider. I haven't played Call of Duty or Zombies in a very long time, but from when I last played it, this does look very fun, and honestly, I'm hoping that they still keep, you know, like the old things like the Gobble Gun machine and then the certain perks. But guys, if you're watching this expecting like some sort of connoisseur of Call of Duty, I'm not necessarily the person you should go to, but one advantage that I do bring towards my perspective is the fact that I had this massive love for Call of Duty, specifically Black Ops 2. I was a pro with just quick scoping or just having silly moments. One thing I'm really scared of though is... Oh, look, we even got the random weaponizer. I mean, that gun looks really... Oh, look at this. I also enjoyed that they're not adding, like, sort of these guns, and I know it's obvious, but they're not adding these types of guns into the main multiplayer, because what I don't want them to do is, they're sort of doing it anyway, because, well, Fortnite's come along, and there's been a lot more cartoony games, and people see, like, big, bright colors, and they get excited. But it's not gone to the extent of some of the weapons just yet. I mean, we have no idea. But I just hope that they just don't fully lose that identity of what makes Black Ops. But I honestly don't think Black Ops 6 looks distinguishing enough to actually seem like a Black Ops game. I really just do enjoy the explosions though. The explosions just look incredible, and I love the new emphasis on the explosions. I mean, the explosions are just incredible. I love the weight of the weapons as well. They'll just feel like they actually have some sort of impact. I know it might sound like I'm just saying things just for the sake of saying them, but just if you can feel the heaviness of a certain weapon, it just makes the game feel more grounded. And if anything, that could translate into it feeling a lot more like Black Ops, because Black Ops has always been more about precision and timing and getting the right kind of plays. And that translates to every mode in Black Ops. One thing I can't deny is the fact that the reload animations are all perfect. One thing that I just really don't like is the running animation for some of the games. I feel like they could strike a perfect balance between making it look cool, but also keeping the way it used to look, so then it has some sort of coherency. So if they were to have the Black Ops 2 running animation, for example, but they made it so the gun sort of shakes, but it looks like Black Ops, people will instantly just, because you do sprint a lot in Black Ops, that's the whole point. But to just have that, it just keeps that sort of same identity. Also, I know this is completely irrelevant to the whole Zombies experience, and you never know if this could translate over. Oh my god, look at that explosion. Look at these guys look cool. Look at that. I know it's like I'm mainly just talking about explosions, but there you go. Actual durability. You got like these new stronger enemies. Look at this gun. You got explosions. One thing I noticed about Black Ops 6 is there's so much more impact towards the way that zombies die. I also genuinely hope some of the maps in this game are just peak. I mean, look, you've even got these power-ups, and you just see all of these zombies explode. There you go. That's like a streak kill. And then you just tear through them and you feel like a monster. Zombies in this game, I can't lie, looks really impressive and genuinely makes me excited for this game. Just one thing I hope they don't do is just completely Fortniteify it and just make it so it's like filled with microtransactions, which you never know, they probably will do that considering greed that has recently come about. But if maybe they've learned from their mistakes, they know that that's not what players are going to want. You've got to remember that it's quality over quantity. Alright, we're going into Derelict. You've also got the Enforcer, Recon, Strategist, Commando, and Overwatch. So we're going in with the Jackal, the Jackal PDW, which apparently is like massively overpowered. That is actually quite terrifying to think about. Oh, look at that. You even got the signature jump as well. One thing I'm absolutely terrified about, and I really hope they fix this, is if they just turn down the fire rate of some of the weapons, because isn't this supposed to be an SMG? Why is this guy firing it from long range? SMGs are supposed to be for short range, and they're using them at long range. I just really hope that they have like this standard to make more of the skins serious, and just to make everything feel more like a Black Ops game. But what they're going for is really awesome if they fix the skill-based matchmaking, because if you're going to be getting a bunch of kills on your first game and you feel like you're going to be doing amazing, and then all of a sudden you go into another game and then you get absolutely sweated on, because you've got to remember, the more controls, such as the dive, is going to eventually make the game harder and is going to increase the skill level. It's like with Fortnite. If Fortnite just had shooting and killing people, the game would be pretty basic to a general skill level, albeit the fact that you can use snipers. But the inclusion of building in Fortnite just makes the game a lot more skillful. And I know I keep comparing it to other video games, but it's kind of true. I just hope that there's some sort of leveling with the amount of people who want to have fun with the game versus people who are just going to use the Jackal PDW and then just spray people down. So hopefully they do find that balance with this weapon. One thing I'm noticing is the movement as well. The movement seems very coherent with the map itself. Like, I like how there's a lot of places where you can go. Like, say, for example, you could take the high ground, you can go around, you can hide behind corners. I know that's like a pretty standard Black Ops thing, but it just makes it more coherent. Because there were some of the maps, like in Black Ops 4, I can't name what the map was, but there was like this little vent section. It just didn't feel right, some of the maps in Black Ops 4. And obviously someone who hasn't played many Call of Duty games in a while, I'm hoping that that's just the bog standard and that's the main focus that they're focusing on. One thing that is kind of throwing me off, and this isn't a major problem, but I really hoped or wished that they would have made the UI just a lot more like darker and just completely black, because it kind of gives you like that Black Ops feeling. In terms of graphics, the game looks visually fine. I think it looks a lot more beautiful if you were playing it natively, because I'm obviously watching it through a video. I really hope they find a different way to innovate by adding different modes or making something special about Call of Duty, because it just seems like the same game every year. But the reason why this is incredibly important is because it's Black Ops 6. You know, like, I grew up on the Call of Duty Black Ops series, especially Black Ops 2. So that's why this game means a lot to me. I'm not just saying this because, you know, maybe the past CODs have done the same thing. I don't care. It's Black Ops. I love this series. I love the fact that they've kept the winner's circle as well. Like, that's really cool. Oh god, and you're gonna see people emoting like crazy. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I feel like when you cartoonify the game so much, and they're probably going to, they've even said in press articles, it's just gonna feel like a joke. I'm honestly really scared for Omni movement. I am actually terrified because the amount of plays that's going to make. But you know, you never know. That genuinely could be the reason why Call of Duty becomes popular, because you could create some pretty cool plays, but at the same time, it can also suffer the sweat syndrome where people don't feel like they can actually compete because there are people that are way too good that spend their entire life on the game and eventually you just can't do anything against them. So yeah, that's sort of my views on Black Ops 6. It's got some good, got some bad. I feel like the Omni movement is going to be mixed, but it's also kind of a cool innovation. But I also hope that they kind of like stop this whole jargon of making the game not distinct towards what Black Ops actually was. Like, I really hope that... I mean, one good thing is that they have amazing music which fits the Black Ops kind of series, but I know they won't, but I just hope that they stick to that whole theme of keeping it like Black Ops, which they won't, because this honestly does look very similar to Cold War. I'm not saying Cold War is a bad game. I'm just saying that it should be distinct secretly to the Black Ops series. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say it. I really hate the UI. But yeah, I might make a series when the game comes out. I'm not entirely sure. It depends how the game is received, because honestly, that's gonna be my whole bargaining on whether I get the game or not. I think it's on Xbox Game Pass, so I might give it a try. So yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, see you later.